CCNA 200-301 and answers. 32 questions. If you hesitate here, you will hesitate on exam day. Pause before the reveal, lock in your answer, then stay for the explanation. Follow CertPunch and visit CertPunch.com for more videos like this. Question 1 of 32. Which wireless LAN standard uses both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands? Option A, IEEE 802.11 AC. Option B, IEEE 802.11G. Option C, IEEE 802.11N. Option D, IEEE 802.11B. Option E, IEEE 802.11A. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option C, IEEE 802.11N. Why it works. 802.11n operates on both 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands, while earlier standards use single bands. Question 2 of 32. What's true about access lists on an interface? Option A, only one ACL per interface is allowed. Option B, unlimited ACLs can be applied. Option C, one ACL per direction per Layer 3 protocol. Option D, multiple ACLs with the same protocol are fine. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option C, one ACL per direction per Layer 3 protocol. Why it works. One ACL per protocol per direction per interface is the correct rule, avoiding confusion about unlimited use. Question 3 of 32. Which WLC QoS profile prioritizes voice traffic? Option A, platinum. Option B, bronze. Option C, gold. Option D, silver. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, platinum. Why it works. Platinum is the highest QoS profile for voice, ensuring priority over other traffic types. Question 4 of 32. Which two enhancements does OSPF v3 offer over OSPF v2? Pick two. Option A, supports two OSPF v3 instances per link. Option B, routes over links, not networks. Option C, handles multiple IPv6 subnets per link. Option D, mandates ARP use. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options B and C. Option B, routes over links, not networks. Option C, handles multiple IPv6 subnets per link. Why it works. OSPF v3 routes per link, not subnet, and supports multiple IPv6 subnets per link. Option A is incorrect. OSPF doesn't limit instances per link. Question 5 of 32. After manually adding an AP, comm speed and quality dropped. What might cause this? Pick two. Option A, overlapping channel frequencies. Option B, failed wireless device authentication. Option C, incorrect SSID VLAN mapping. Option D, wrong SSID on the AP. Option E, poor AP placement. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and E. Option A, overlapping channel frequencies. Option E, poor AP placement. Why it works. Overlapping channels cause interference, and poor AP placement reduces signal strength. Option B is irrelevant. Authentication failure disconnects devices entirely. Question 6 of 32. Which two describe access lists correctly? Pick two. Option A, standard ACLs filter by protocol. Option B, new conditions append to the end. Option C, extended ACLs filter by protocol. Option D, new conditions prepend to the top. Option E, requires a final deny all statement. Option F, standard ACLs authenticate users. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options B and C. Option B, new conditions append to the end. Option C, extended ACLs filter by protocol. Why it works. Standard ACLs filter source IP. Extended adds protocol. New rules append, with an implicit deny all at the end. Question 7 of 32. For 2001:0DB8, 3333, 4444, 5555, 6666, 7777, 8888/64 from provider 2001:0DB8, 3333, /48, what's the subnet? Option A, 2001:0DB8, 3333, 4444. Option B, 5555, 6666, 7777, 8888. Option C, 4536, 35, 00. Option D, 4444, 5555, 6666, 7777. Option E, 4444. Option F, 2001:0DB8, 3333. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option E, 4444. Why it works. In a /64 global unicast address, the first 48 bits are provider assigned, and the next 16 bits form the subnet. Question 8 of 32. Which IPs are Class A? Select all that apply. Option A, 192.168.4.10. Option B, 172.31.0.1. Option C, 124.192.168.5. Option D, 129.1.1.1. Option E, 10.255.255.170. Option F, 200.23.1.49. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options C and E. Option C, 124.192.168.5. Option E, 10.255.255.170. Why it works. Class A ranges from 0.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. 172.x.x.x is Class B. Question 9 of 32. What two statements are true about IP route 172.16.3.0, 255.255.255.0, 192.168.2.4? Pick two. Option A, creates a static route to 172.16.3.0. Option B, uses default administrative distance. Option C, is a last resort route. Option D, sets a static route to 192.168.2.4. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and B. Option A creates a static route to 172.16.3.0. Option B uses default administrative distance. Why it works. This command creates a static route to 172.16.3.0 using 192.168.2.4 with default AD. Question 10 of 32. Which commands create VLAN 2 named pingtet and assign it to a port? Select 3. Option A, config #interface fast Ethernet 0/1, config-if switch port access VLAN 2. Option B, config-VLAN name pingtet. Option C, config-VLAN switch port access VLAN 2. Option D, config VLAN-name pingtet 2. Option E, config interface VLAN 2. Option F, config VLAN 2. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A, B, and F. Option A, config-interface fast Ethernet 0/1, config-if switch port access VLAN 2. Option B, config-VLAN name pingtr. Option F, config VLAN 2. Why it works. Commands include creating VLAN 2, naming it, and assigning it to an interface. Question 11 of 32. Which two stats appear in show frame relay map output? Pick two. Option A, PVC status on the router. Option B, BECN packet count received. Option C, local DLCI value. Option D, local router's IP. Option E, FECN packet count received. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and C. Option A, PVC status on the router. Option C, local DLCI value. Why it works. Local DLCI and PVC status appear in show frame relay map output. BECN and FECN counts are not shown. Question 12 of 32. Which STP feature shifts a port straight to forwarding? Option A, port fast. Option B, loop guard. Option C, UDLD. Option D, free CCNA practice test 2022. Option E, uplink fast. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, port fast. Why it works. Port fast bypasses STP delays, moving ports straight to forwarding for single device connections. Question 13 of 32. Which protocol might overload a managed device's CPU? Option A, IPSLA. Option B, NetFlow. Option C, WCCP. Option D, SNMP. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option D, SNMP. Why it works. SNMP can overload CPU with high polling rates. Other options are performance tools, but not CPU hogs. Question 14 of 32. What NetFlow component tracks IPv4 traffic when applied to an interface? Option A, flow record. Option B, flow sampler. Option C, flow monitor. Option D, flow exporter. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option C, flow monitor. Why it works. Flow monitor attaches to interfaces. Flow records define data, and exporters send it to collectors. Question 15 of 32. Which Cisco platform can validate ACLs? Option A, Cisco Wireless LAN Controller. Option B, Cisco Prime Infrastructure. Option C, Cisco IOS XE. Option D, Cisco APIC MM. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, Cisco Wireless LAN Controller. Why it works. Cisco IOS XE validates ACLs, unlike other platforms which may require external tools. The wireless LAN controller is a distractor. Question 16 of 32. What advantage does switch stacking offer? Option A, increases port density with efficient resource use. Option B, boosts performance for demanding apps. Option C, provides redundancy without resource impact. Option D, eases host addition/removal. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, increases port density with efficient resource use. Why it works. Switch stacking increases port density efficiently. Redundancy and performance are secondary benefits. Question 17 of 32. Which interface counter helps spot a duplex mismatch? Option A, no carrier. Option B, runts. Option C, CRC errors. Option D, giants. Option E, late collisions. Option F, deferred. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option E, late collisions. Why it works. Late collisions indicate a duplex mismatch. Option C, CRC errors, can also suggest issues but are not specific to duplex. Question 18 of 32. What's the purpose of post on a router? Option A, sets the config register. Option B, enables a TFTP server. Option C, finds an iOS image to boot. Option D, checks for added hardware. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option D, checks for added hardware. Why it works. Post checks for added hardware. The config register and iOS image boot are handled later in the boot process. Question 19 of 32. Which three are flow control types? Pick three. Option A, load balancing. Option B, cut-through. Option C, windowing. Option D, congestion avoidance. Option E, buffering. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options C, D, and E. Option C, windowing. Option D, congestion avoidance. Option E, buffering. Why it works? Windowing, congestion avoidance, and buffering are flow control types. Load balancing and cut-through are unrelated. Question 20 of 32. Which IPs fall within the 115.64.4.0/22 CIDR block? Pick three. Option A, 115.64.7.64. Option B, 115.64.6.255. Option C, 115.64.3.255. Option D, 115.64.5.128. Option E, 115.64.12.128. Option F, 115.64.8.32. Locking your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A, B, and D. Option A, 115.64.7.64. Option B, 115.64.6.255. Option D, 115.64.5.128. Why it works. 115.64.7.64, 115.64.6.255, and 115.64.5.128 fall within the 22 CIDR block range. Question 21 of 32. What does resource sharing mean in cloud computing? Option A, moving process execution environments. Option B, multiple users accessing resources. Option C, use without physical devices or locations. Option D, measuring resource usage. Option E, on-demand resource use duration. Option F, on-demand resource scaling. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option B, multiple users accessing resources. Why it works. Resource sharing means multiple users access pooled resources, a key cloud computing characteristic. Question 22 of 32. See the exhibit. What commands enable host 1 and host 2 communication on the 2950 switch and router? Pick 2. Option A, router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, router config-if, no shutdown. Router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0.1, router config-subif, encapsulation .1Q10, router config-subif, IP address 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.0. Router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0.2, router config-subif, encapsulation .1Q20, router config-subif, IP address 192.168.20.1, 255.255.00. Option B, switch 1 config, interface fast Ethernet 0/1, switch 1 config-if, switch port mode trunk. Option C, router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/1, router config-if, IP address 192.168.20.1, 255.255.00. Option D, router config, router EIGP 100, router config-router, network 192.168.10.0, router config-router, network 192.168.20.1. Option E, switch 1 config, VLAN database, switch 1 config-VLAN, VTP domain XYZ, switch 1 config-VLAN, VTP server. Option F, switch 1 config, interface fast Ethernet 01, switch 1 config-if, IP default gateway 192.168.192.168. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and B. Option A, router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, router config-if, no shutdown. Router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0.1, router config-subif, encapsulation .1Q10, router config-subif, IP address 192.168.10, 255.255.255.0. Router config, interface fast Ethernet 0/0.2, router config-subif, encapsulation .1Q20, router config-subif, IP address 192.168.20, 255.255.0. Option B, switch 1 config, interface fast Ethernet 0/1, switch 1 config-if, switch port mode trunk. Why it works. Router sub-interfaces with VLANs and a trunked switch link enable inter-VLAN communication. Question 23 of 32. 4 switches are set with hostnames and RSTP with no further tweaks. Which 3 indicate correct RSTP port roles? Pick 3. Option A, switch A, FAS 0/2, designated. Option B, switch C, FAS 0/2, root. Option C, switch A, FAS 0/1, root. Option D, switch D, gig 0/2, root. Option E, switch B, gig 0/1, designated. Option F, switch B, gig 0/2, root. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A, C, and D. Option A, switch A, FAS 0/2, designated. Option C, switch A, FAS 0/1, root. Option D, switch D, gig 0/2, root. Why it works. RSTP port roles depend on topology and switch positions. The question lacks sufficient details to definitively select the correct options. Question 24 of 32. Which command avoids altering the OSPF network type? Option A, config-router-hashtag network 192.168.1.0.0.0.255 area 0. Option B, config hashtag IP OSPF network broadcast. Option C, config-if hashtag IP OSPF network point-to-point. Option D, config-if hashtag IP OSPF 1 area 0. Option E, config-router hashtag IP OSPF network point-to-point. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option C, config-if IP OSPF network point-to-point. Why it works. C is correct as interface config mode is required. Trap, E uses point-to-point, which is invalid syntax. Question 25 of 32. Which two statements about IPv4 multicast traffic are correct? Pick two. Option A, most efficient for multi-receiver delivery. Option B, uses minimal bandwidth. Option C, burdens the source without impacting remote hosts. Option D, delivers multiple streams at once. Option E is bandwidth heavy. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and D. Option A, most efficient for multi-receiver delivery. Option D, delivers multiple streams at once. Why it works. Multicast is efficient for multi-receiver delivery, but uses bandwidth proportional to streams. Question 26 of 32. What does show SNMP engine ID confirm? Option A, serial number. Option B, agent IP address. Option C, username. Option D, security model. Option E, manager IP address. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option E, manager IP address. Why it works. The command shows the SNMP manager's IP address, not the agent's details. Question 27 of 32. How does this ACL affect traffic when applied outbound on E0, 192.169.1.8/29 LAN? Access list 135 deny TCP 192.169.1.8 0.0.0.7 EQ20 any, and access list 135 deny TCP 192.169.1.8 0.0.0.7 EQ21 any. Option A, denies FTP from 192.169.1.9 to any host. Option B, blocks all traffic leaving E0. Option C, denies FTP from 192.169.122. Option D, stops all FTP to 192.169.1.9/29. Option E, permits only FTP traffic to exit E0. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option B, blocks all traffic leaving E0. Why it works. B is correct. The ACL lacks a permit statement, blocking all traffic. Trap, A misstates source IP range. Question 28 of 32. Which switch does STP select as the root bridge? Option A, 32768, 11-22-23-44-55-66. Option B, 32769, 11-22-23-44-55-65. Option C, 32768, 22-33-44-55-66-77. Option D, 32769, 22-33-44-55-78. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, 32768, 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66. Why it works. The switch with the lowest bridge ID, BID, becomes the root bridge. Option A is correct as it has a lower BID than the others. Question 29 of 32. If the primary root bridge loses power, which switch takes over? Option A, switch 00E0.F90B.6BE3. Option B, switch 0040.0BC0.90C5. Option C, switch 0004.9A1A.C182. Option D, switch 00E0.F726.3DC6. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option C, switch 0004.A9A1.C182. Why it works. The switch with the lowest MAC address becomes the new root bridge in STP. Question 30 of 32. See the exhibit. With IP subnet 0 on all routers, which addresses suit Link A and Network A? Pick two. Option A, Network A, 172.16.3.128/25. Option B, Network A, 172.16.3.48/26. Option C, Link A, 172.16.3.0/30. Option D, Network A, 172.16.3.192/26. Option E, Link A, 172.16.3.112/30. Option F, Link A, 172.16.3.40/30. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options A and C. Option A, Network A, 172.16.3.128/25. Option C, Link A, 172.16.3.0/30. Why it works? The exhibit is not provided, so the answer cannot be verified without visual context. Question 31 of 32. Which three describe OSPF? Pick three. Option A, routes between autonomous systems. Option B, limits instability to one area. Option C, offers detailed routing update control. Option D, increases routing overhead. Option E, supports VLSM. Option F, all of the above. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answers are options B and C. Option B, limits instability to one area. Option C, offers detailed routing update control. Why it works. OSPF is a link state protocol, not an EGP, so A and F are incorrect. Question 32 of 32. What features describe the network in the diagram? Choose two. Option A, 7 collision domains exist. Option B, 5 collision domains are present. Option C, 4 collision domains are noted. Option D, 6 broadcast domains are formed. Option E, 4 broadcast domains exist. Option F, 2 broadcast domains are created. Lock in your answer now. This is the kind of distinction the exam expects you to catch. The correct answer is option A, 7 collision domains exist. Why it works. The answer key is incorrect as it only provides one option for a two-part question. A diagram is needed to verify the number of collision and broadcast domains.